Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to finally be sharing my thoughts on the Disney dining plan. So on my most recent trip in September, I saved all of my receipts and I have added up my total for the Disney dining plan to see if I actually saved money or not. So the best part about this video though is that it is a collab with one of my all-time favorite Disney YouTubers, Jen Lefforge. So Jen is doing kind of the flip side to this video. So she, on one of her recent trips, did not use the dining plan, and she's gonna total up everything to see if she saved money or not. So we thought it'd be helpful to hear from two different people, somebody who used the dining plan and somebody who didn't. So definitely go follow Jen if you're not already. I will link her video and her channel below, so definitely go check her out. But she is absolutely amazing. I seriously feel honored to even be able to do a collab with her because I just absolutely adore her. So her and I started our channels around the same time and her channel totally took off. She is amazing. Again, I just adore her. I can't say enough good things about her. She's one of those people where you feel like you're not just watching her through a screen. You feel like you're actually just hanging out with her, having a conversation. I feel like I could just show up at her door and have coffee and hang out with her and she would be the exact same way. You know what I mean? I just love watching people like that. People who, when you watch their videos, you feel like you're just hanging out, like you're just best friends and you're just having a conversation. So I absolutely love that about her. So again, go check her out, go watch her videos. You can kind of see the flip side to this. So let's go ahead and jump into the Disney dining plan. Okay, so I'm gonna first explain how we use the dining plan. So this was our first time using it, but there's all different kinds of strategies that you can approach the dining plan with. So for us, what we did was we booked our dining plan for the first 4 nights of our stay because we actually did a split stay. So we did our first 4 nights at one resort and then our last night we switched to another resort. So you are actually not allowed to book the dining plan for the full length of your stay if you are doing a split stay, just because that has to be a separate reservation. So you would have to go in if you were doing a split stay at 2 resorts and make 2 separate dining plan reservations. So what we did, instead of making those 2 separate reservations, we only booked the dining plan for our first 4 nights. So we did the regular Disney dining plan for 2 adults for 4 nights, which is $75.49 per person. So it roughly totaled out to about $150 per day that we were paying in advance for our food. So what we decided to do was use our 4 nights worth of credits for our 4 full days at Disney. And on our arrival day and departure day, we paid for those meals out of pocket. So I debated including those because it's technically not a part of what we paid for or what we spent when we're just factoring in the dining plan, because I wanted this video to be specifically geared towards the dining plan, but I'm gonna go ahead and include those meals and the prices just so you can get an idea of the total amount we spent, including everything we paid for out of pocket, our dining plan credits, tips, tax, everything. So it's gonna be a lot of numbers, so I'm gonna try and kind of list everything on the screen as I go, so you can kind of follow along that way. But let's go ahead and jump into all of the numbers. And if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my phone. All of my receipts and all of the math is added up here, so that's what I'm looking at. So on our arrival day, now again, our arrival day, these are the meals we paid for out of pocket. So these are not factored into our Disney dining plan. So on arrival day, we had lunch at the Mara, which is the Animal Kingdom Lodge quick service, for $23.06. And then for dinner that night, we went to the California Grill and our total was $158.26. And again, I'm gonna factor in tips at the very end. So this is just our meals and tax. So day 2, our first full day at Disney, this is when we started using our credits. So this was the first day of actually utilizing the dining plan. So we walked into the park, we went to Hollywood Studios, and we used 2 snack credits on coffee for $10.78. We had a quick service lunch for $58.28. We had dinner at Boma, and that was $122.21. So our total for our first full day using credits was $191.27. So again, we came out about $40 ahead that day, since we were trying to keep it around that $150 mark, which is what we paid for in advance. So day 3, we were at Animal Kingdom, and we used 2 snack credits on coffee for $11.27. We had a quick service lunch for $54.56. We used 2 more snack credits in the afternoon for $12.48. And we had dinner at Sanaa that night for $105.71. And our total for that day was $184.02. So about $30 ahead that day. So day 4, we were at Epcot, and this is the day we were there for the Food and Wine Festival. So we used quite a few snack credits. So just keep that in mind. It looks like we ate way more than what it felt like. So we had a quick service lunch at the Mexican Cantina, I can't remember the exact name of it, for $54.25. We used 5 snack credits for $28.75. And then we had dinner at San Angel Inn for $108.37. So our grand total for that day was $191.37. So again, about $40 ahead that day. So for our last full day in the parks, we were at Magic Kingdom. We had breakfast at Be Our Guest, and that was $50. We used 3 snack credits kind of mid-morning on coffee and LeFou's brew. So that was $15.54. We had dinner at Ohana for $121.95. And then we used our last 2 snack credits on dessert that night for $10.06. So our grand total for that day was $197.55, so almost $50 ahead that day. And then for our last day, our departure day, we had breakfast at Kona Cafe for $46.72. And again, on our departure day, that meal we did pay for out of pocket, so that was not factored into the dining plan. Okay, so I'm like having to take a breather after that. That was a lot of numbers. So let's get into kind of all of the totals and do the math here. So what I'm first gonna do is total up everything that we spent. So what we paid for the dining plan, tax, tips, and everything we paid for out of pocket, and give you the total for that, just because I thought that would be helpful to see. But then I'm gonna keep that separate and do kind of another total after that to show if we saved from what we would have spent with the dining plan, if that makes sense. So what we paid for the dining plan for 2 adults, 4 nights for the regular dining plan was $603.92. All of the extra meals that we paid for out of pocket, that totaled to $228.04. And then all of our tips totaled to an even $140. So our grand total for everything we spent out of pocket, I hope my husband doesn't see this video, for 6 days is $971.96. So that was our total for everything. That was factoring in the dining plan, our tips, tax, meals out of pocket, all of that. And we had actually factored in all of that ahead of time. So I went and actually added up and kind of estimated how much are we gonna tip, how much is it gonna take to pay out of pocket for these number of meals. And so we actually went in and purchased a gift card in that amount before we got to Disney. So it still felt to us all-inclusive because we went in anticipating all of those extra costs. We went in anticipating that we were gonna have to tip on top of the dining plan, that we were gonna have to pay out of pocket for a couple of those meals, things like that. So that was our grand total for the entire week for 6 days at Disney. So let's get into the totals when we're just factoring in the dining plan. So again, our total amount that we paid for the dining plan was $603.92. The amount that we should have spent is $764.21. So the total amount that we saved just focusing on the dining plan is $160.29. So we're done with all the numbers. That was a lot, I know. Okay, so we did save $160. I mean, if you're just focusing on the dining plan and you're not factoring in tips, those extra meals that we paid for out of pocket, things like that, we did save a good amount if you're just looking at the dining plan. So here's my brutal thoughts about the dining plan. I don't know if we would have spent that $600 if we had not been on the dining plan, if that makes sense. So it's tough. I feel like being on the dining plan, it almost, at least for me, I felt forced to want to make the most out of it everywhere we went. So when I sat down at a restaurant and I was handed a menu, I was scanning the menu for the most expensive items. And that was pretty much how it went the entire week. So I know, even for instance, one time we sat down somewhere and there was a meal that just looked delicious. It looked so good, but it was one of the lesser expensive items. And so I felt guilty for wanting it because, and it totally like reverses in your mind, because typically you go to Disney and you're like, oh, I shouldn't order the most expensive thing. But when you're on the dining plan, it totally flip-flops and you automatically feel, oh, I shouldn't order the least expensive thing. I feel bad. So it's funny how that works, but I just automatically felt myself gravitating towards what are the most expensive items on the menu, even if it wasn't necessarily something that I would naturally order on my own. So that was the only thing with it. And of course, everywhere we went, the food was amazing. It was delicious. But even same thing with the drinks. You know, I mean, now that an alcoholic beverage is included with quick service and table service, even at lunch, I felt pressured to have to get an alcoholic beverage at a quick service location when typically I don't think I would get an alcoholic drink at lunch. I would probably at dinner, but if we had not been on the dining plan, I probably wouldn't have ordered that. So, you know, it's like you got to factor in what kind of vacation are you wanting? That's pretty much what it comes down to. So I wish my husband was here. I know I said, oh, I hope he doesn't see the total of this, but I do kind of wish he was here because he absolutely loved the dining plan. And he even was saying the other day that he wants to try out the deluxe dining plan the next time we go. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that is so much food. But for him, he loves ordering the steak, the lobster, the filet, you know, those really expensive items. He loves ordering those things. So it makes sense for somebody like him. But for me, you know, there would be times I sat down and the salad and the grilled chicken looked so good, but it was the least expensive item. So I felt like I couldn't order it because we would be losing money on the dining plan. I had in my mind this number that we had to hit at each meal, and I felt locked into that. So it creates kind of this, it's tough. It gives you this freedom, but not really at the same time. So I think if I were to ever do the dining plan again, it would be for some kind of celebration, a birthday, an anniversary, something like that, where you want to go all out for that kind of trip. You want to get the drinks and desserts and the appetizers and eat at fancy restaurants. But if I'm just going with my family or I'm going down there and meeting up with a bunch of people, I probably wouldn't use it again just because it doesn't provide the flexibility that you sometimes want on a Disney vacation. Instead of feeling locked into having to spend a certain amount every time you sit down somewhere, or even for instance, the day we were at Hollywood Studios, I really wanted to eat at 50's Primetime Cafe, but after doing the math, it didn't add up to making it worth it to use a table service credit on that restaurant, and so we ate somewhere else instead. So it's things like that that make it hard to use. So when I say lack of flexibility, that's what I'm talking about. Not feeling like you have the freedom to really order what you want, or not having the freedom to really eat where you want because in your mind you feel like you have to make it worth it and eat at more expensive restaurants even if somewhere else looks better. So that was my only thing with it, and we totally made it worth it. We did. I did the math ahead of time. I did all the research. I found out, you know, I have to spend X amount of dollars on a snack to make it worth it, on a quick service, table service to make it worth it, and that's what we spent. And so we saved $160 doing the dining plan. So it's cool to say when you get back, you know, and totaling everything up after doing all the math with all the receipts, it kind of feels like, oh, my hard work all paid off, you know, we saved $160. But, you know, like I said, I don't know if we would have spent that if we had not been on the dining plan. It really was a lot of food. And I think being there for Food and Wine Festival, that really helped because we used quite a few snack credits on that day. I don't know if we would have been able to use 2 snacks per person per day if we had not been there for Food and Wine. So that's another piece of it. And then again, factoring in tips. You know, I didn't add in tips to our total amount spent. You know, that's why I kind of kept that separate, just because that's a whole nother expense you have to factor in. And a lot of people look at the dining plan cost and think, you know, oh, okay, that's not too bad. I can make that work. I can make it worth it. But then once you factor in tips for all those table service restaurants, it adds up really quick. You know, it might look different on the quick service because you're not tipping it at quick service locations, so you're not having to factor in tips. But if you're doing the regular dining plan or even the deluxe dining plan, tips add up really, really quick. So I know that was a lot of information, but I hope it was helpful to hear from someone who used the dining plan, how much their week ended up costing, how much they saved, how much they spent on the dining plan, things like that. So I really do hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I know this was I tried to make this as easy as possible to follow. So definitely let me know if you have any questions and I can try to answer those. And make sure to check out Jen's video. Again, I will link that below. If you're curious to hear, again, the flip side to this from someone who didn't use the dining plan and how much she paid, if she saved money, definitely go check out her video. Make sure you're subscribed to her channel. She is absolutely amazing. You're gonna love her if you're not already following her. And I think that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, like, comment, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you next time. Bye.